Hello dear friends, welcome to the daily current affairs session brought to you by Ekam IAS for the prelims. 29th April 2018 we are going to have the following topics: 2+2 dialogue, Colistin, 3D printing, National Safety Council and Hubble's telescope and supernova. So very brief topics. So 2+2 dialogue is related to what? What is 2+2 dialogue recently seen in the news as far as India and other countries are related to, like that questions or statements may come. Actually it is not between a particular countries, not particular like India and US. It can happen between any set of countries, like one country or another country or a group of countries. But 2+2 means there will be strategic important topics or areas that they will be covering. For example, mostly in our case India, we used to have defense as well as economy. So both finance minister or external minister and a defense minister, that is what strategically there will be two dialogues or two areas on which there a bilateral framework will be agreed or brought to a consensus. So actually this is in news because today in the newspaper we have seen the Malabar exercise is going to happen or going to occur, and they will be not including, or India is not including the invitation of Australia to join the Malabar exercise. That's what the news was. We declined, or because of some unforeseen circumstances with other countries, probably China, or intervention between India and China, we were forced to drop Australia out of this. Now the reason is not specific, we don't know what is the reason. We just got a statement or got to know that Australia is being dropped. So Malabar exercise between India, US and Japan, it has been annually held in various places, India, all the three nations, and now this time also. Actually in December 2017 Australia had expressed their willingness to join this Malabar exercise. They used to participate in Australia dialogue in 2007. They had participated in Malabar exercise, but now after that they didn't. And why the reason? There may be, newspapers say that the reason may be because India's Modi's visit to Wuhan summit, between an informal summit between Xi Jinping and Modi, and the recent developments between India and Tibet. We are restricting Tibet in many areas where we had, our government had told not to, have this procession in Tibet parliament, etc. So, like we had restricted many activities of Tibetans who are in India now in asylum. So maybe because of China. So all these restrictions on Tibet comes in the same backdrop when Australia is being not included in the Malabar exercise. So if there is a link between these two or whatever it is, we don't know. So we will be knowing that because in as far as our Indian Ocean is concerned, India, China, Australia, and apart from that, apart from Indian Ocean, we have Japan as a superpower. So one superpower may not like the other superpower. Maybe that is the reason. We don't know. It is just speculation. Anyways, Australia is not participating this time. So actually 2+2, just as a definition, it is a meeting, a kind of a dialogue mechanism where two important portfolios are discussed and agreed upon, and a bilateral or multilateral framework is being brought to. So that is what 2+2 dialogue. So this started when the name starts from Japan's relation with various strategic countries like US, Japan, Japan, Russia, Japan, Germany, etc. So that is where this 2+2 dialogue started, and India also has, US has one of the biggest 2+2 dialogues, India and US, and various other countries are also there with whom we have 2+2 dialogue. So remember, 2+2 dialogue is not related to a particular incident or a particular bilateral relation, no, but it is a set of, it is a category of dialogues with various other partners where two important portfolios are discussed on a strategic basis. Okay, so next one is Colistin. Colistin is actually an antibiotic produced by a bacteria, Penibacillus polymixa. Penibacillus polymixa is a bacterium which produces this kind of antibiotic, which is called Colistin. Now this is seen as the scientific world or medical field as a last resort towards this, to fight this multi-drug resistant bacteria. So we have already know, we already know about multi-drug resistant bacteria, right? Because day by day, year by year, gradually the bacteria are gaining resistance towards the normal antibiotics that we are getting for treatment, like penicillin, amoxicillin, etc. So most of the bacteria are having this drug resistant capability. When we have some infection inside our body and we have this antibiotic, there are chances that this medicine won't help to heal the infection. So that is where drug resistance comes to that bacteria. So if that increases gradually, and there will be a time when all the antibiotics will be resisted by the bacteria. Evolution among bacteria takes place at a very larger scale, a very quick scale. That is why colistin is seen as a last resort, which is the most prospectus one, where we see this colistin as a very major antibiotic against this MDR or multi-drug resistant bacteria. See, this was first isolated in Japan in 1949 and remains one of the last resort antibiotics for multi-drug resistant cases. A colistin, recently also in 2005, a colistin resistant gene was discovered in Chinese pigs in 2015. See, that is also a bad news actually. Bacteria are also there, were discovered, which are resistant to this colistin also, but it is not scientifically proven, but still there was a report. And see, there is a gene called MCR1. MCR1 is a gene that we make use of colistin. So from colistin we get the gene MCR1, which can be used as this antibiotic treatment. So the gene MCR1 could be transferred within and between the species of bacteria. That is how we produce this kind of gene to fight this MDR bacteria. So WHO has discouraged for the use of such antibiotics in animals, because using of these kind of antibiotics, which are critically essential for humans, onto animals will result in what? Will result in more resistant bacteria developing inside the animals. So that will pose a threat to our immune system. So that is why WHO has discouraged. So if a statement comes, these kind of bacteria or these kind of antibiotic, colistin kind of antibiotic are encouraged to be used to animals, that will be wrong, because if we use in animals, then just like we had the near extinction of vultures, the diclofenac is a chemical which is used for pain killing and for this cows. So from cows this transferred to vulture, which may lead to the extension of vulture. So same way, if we apply this kind of materials or antibiotics to animals, that will result in very bad situation. So anyways, next is about 3D printing, a very famous one. Every day we see some news about 3D printing. Actually 3D printing is a process of making 3D solid objects from a digital file. That is what normal printing is, what we do in a paper or in a sheet or a flex or a chart, wherever, but we make out a 3D image or a 3D object. So on 2D we get an image file or something on a plane, and in 3D we get an object. So that is what 3D printing is, and this was discovered by Chuck Hull in 1983. He got the patent for that, and the term he coined for that was stereolithography. Stereolithography was the term he used. And the process is called additive process. Now see how additive process is done is, layer by layer there will be a probe which provides the material, a cement like material maybe, which binds, which forms a structure. So layer by layer that will be given, the probe will supply this, and that will lead to the creation of an entire object, whatever it is. So this kind of, there will be a pointer kind of thing which supplies this, which ejects this material, a binding material, and that will again create the whole object. You can search on the YouTube for the how 3D printing works. So the names additive process and layer by layer addition of printing material, Chuck Hull, and stereolithography is related to 3D printing. Next is National Safety Council. National Safety Council is not under defense. It is or nor it is under Home Affairs. It is under Labor Ministry, Labor and Employment Ministry. Now the news was that Ministry of State, Independent Charge, Labor and Employment gave away the National Safety Awards. So safety awards for the year 2017 at New Delhi. Now what is this National Safety Council? It is an autonomous body to generate, develop and sustain a voluntary movement on safety, health and environment. That's it, SHE. So at the national level, no, there is a SHE box that is different. This SHE is safety, health and environment, and nothing to do with women. So this is an autonomous body who caters, who works for the creation of safety environment to almost, it is majorly concentrating on the employment generation scheme of India. So this is a premium, non-profit, self-financing and tripartite apex body at the national level. So that's all, nothing much about this. It's an autonomous body coming under Labour Ministry. That's where question may become typical. It was set up on 4th March 1966 by the Government of India, and which was placed under Labour Ministry, and first registered as a society. See, we have Societies Act and Trust Act. So this first it was as a Societies Act, just like we have Cooperative Society, the same way. Later it was transformed or transferred into a public trust. So trust means there will be funding mechanism. Last one about Hubble telescope and supernova. Now Hubble telescope is the most famous telescope launched by NASA and ESA. So that is where the information goes wrong. It is joint venture between NASA and European Space Agency. Like we have seen yesterday, Gaia is a telescope, space telescope for astrometry, for measurements of positions, distance, velocities, etc. Change of positions. Same way Hubble telescope was launched in 1990s by the venture between NASA and ESA, and recent news was that they had captured a first of its kind an image of a surviving companion to a supernova. Now what is a supernova? We will see it later. So this was named after an American astronomer, Edwin P. Hubble. That is what he got the name. And supernova is an astronomical event that occurs during the last evolutionary stages of a massive star, not a normal star, massive star. See, there are two kinds of stars: sun or sun-like stars, like size and mass similar to sun. A star which has a similar mass and similar size of a sun are called sun-like stars. Sun-like stars. It will have 1 times the star, 1.3 times the star, 0.8 times the star, like that. Now more than that, if you have 2 or more than that times our sun, that kind of stars are called massive stars. It will have 4 to 5 times of the mass and size of the sun. So those super giant stars, so those kind of stars are called a massive star. Now massive stars, cycle of event, will before ending up into a nebula or a neutron star or a black hole, it will become a supernova, which is very expanding kind of a thing. So that is what supernova. If sun, in the life cycle of sun, we can't see, we won't be seeing, we won't see definitely, but there won't be any supernova in the cycle of sun. So an illustration just shows, see, star, there are two kinds, the sun-like stars and the massive star in the bottom. So in our case, or the sun case, there will be this, the yellow one is the average star, and then see, we know what is happening in a star, right? Conversion of helium into hydrogen into helium. It is a nuclear reaction actually. So the fuel is hydrogen. Now that burns the star, and that is how we get the solar energy. And once the hydrogen starts to deplete, then it will become a red giant. A red giant will, particularly after the ending of this hydrogen and total helium will be there, it will form into a carbon. This helium will be transformed into carbon, and a planetary nebula will be formed. This will result in a white dwarf. So white dwarf is the end product of a normal star like sun-like star. Okay, the massive star again, it is having hydrogen itself. After the completion or halfway of hydrogen is over, it will form red supergiant. So earlier we had red giant in the normal, we have supergiant in the massive star cycle. This red giant will expand. After all the helium will convert into some other different types of chemicals. Here in the normal case we had planetary nebula, carbon atom. In the red giant we have many types of elements. So that will result in the formation of supernova, which is very shiny, bright phenomena. Supernova, two things may happen after supernova. A neutron star will be formed. A neutron star means that will result into another star. That is what a neutron star. Or a black hole will be formed. So black hole is the end of massive star. Nothing will happen after black hole. So black hole is formed only in the life cycle of massive star, not in sun. In sun we have white dwarf. So that is why NASA has launched projects for searching for M dwarf or white dwarf like planets, stars. So all this relates to one thing. Okay, I'm ending up here. Have a nice day. Study well.